Go again. Let's get some Earl here. Oh, there it is. Here we go. All right, here we go. We need to find some more radio shows.
Yes, it is, ladies and gentlemen. Father Hines and his great band playing for you from the new Grand Terrace on Chicago's Great South Side. Get ready now.
Morning, everybody. Welcome along. If you're checking this out on the Stories Later, this is the beginning of the morning mini tour where I let everybody have a minute to get online. Hey, Karen. Karen's the first to comment today. And I have got some orange slice. Haven't had that since about the 90s. Hey, Beth. Hey, Cindy. Hey, Kathy. 1 degree in Arkansas. It's pretty cold in Chicago, too. Cold enough that I didn't want to go anywhere. But I did want to show off these rad new shoes, which are more summer shoes, but I gotta get them. I'm gonna ward them in a little bit. It just gets that song stuck in my head. With refrigerators filled with nothing but ice, old nail polish and some orange slice. Well, just remember what the biker chick said, that you're really alive when you wish you were dead. Regional hit in Atlanta is called Blow by the band Lincoln. You're right, Diet Orange. But a very flavorful Diet Orange. I'm down. Hey, Todd. Hey, Marsha. Yeah, these are some food vlogs that I had to order. These guys. I can't do it. I got the laser up for Miles, but I don't think he's aware of it yet. Or possibly did he run out to the hall? 1 second. If I'm sitting up in here and Miles hasn't come to harass me, it's a little disturbing. Where is he?
Yeah, Earl Father Hines carries on now and presents Leroy Harris to sing Teacher's Pet.
But yeah, here. For those of you who missed it, my awesome new flu vlogs. They're more for summer, but I'm getting them started today. But alright, what is shaking, Monica? We're going to do some tour from home today. That's about enough from Earl Father Hines. I think we can go ahead and get started here. I am still just having a blast going through the Illustrated Police News, finding, first of all the Chicago stories, but also just the strange stories that they felt it necessary to actually go so far as to illustrate. This was a periodical out of New York in the 1870s through the 1880s, and it's not the easiest thing to navigate, but several entire years of it are downloadable on the Library of Congress. So, it was not really to do with police, it was your source for news about boxing, hangings, and sex workers. Also just a lot of regular news of the weird stuff. It was not that unlike the Weekly World News, as we'll see. This is one of their covers that I rather enjoy. It's not a Chicago thing, it's a New York thing. But cover of a guy mentioned in the caption as a New York softie. Apparently that just means that he couldn't hold his liquor so well. What a great drawing this is. They tend to remind me of like William Hogarth prints. All the way down there. So, they also had some fun headlines. Slick slaying. The slaying season is also the slaying one. And this one does relate. There's just a compilation of murder stories in this, but one of them was a Chicago story that never quite broke through. It was a big story in Chicago. It was illustrated in this, but it hasn't really been rewritten at all since then. So, still putting that one together. It'll be up on the Patreon. I might cover it in more detail tomorrow, because it's a whole thing. I did like their drawing of Oscar Wilde that they did when he came through town. This is when he was in New York, getting played by Bunko Men. And this one is from Chicago. I have to find the actual thing here, but this is a drunk bridesmaid, or the equivalent of a bridesmaid for 1882, had a little too much to drink and started taking off her shoes at the wedding reception. Horrors! Won't somebody please think of the children? Now, one thing that they really liked at the Illustrated Police News was alligators. There's hardly an issue goes by without a good drawing of an alligator. In this case, there are a couple of alligators, one of whom is eating a guy. They are pretty generally eating people in the drawings. And then there's this other one where they only drew half of the alligators. Now, the story here, I haven't found the whole thing, but according to the caption, the mother had a strange dream while she was pregnant. And because of that, apparently the dream was probably that she was doing it with an alligator or something. And because of the force of the dream, the babies were born half baby, half alligator. Now, this is very similar to the devil baby story that happened in Chicago and various other cities. One of the explanations for how a woman might have given birth to a baby with bright red scaly skin, horns, hooves, and a tail was something about a dream she had about doing it with the devil. Probably a pretty good dream. But they tended to play up these news of the weird stories as though they were absolutely real, like this story of a guy flying around on a giant bird that he'd captured. A Florida man, specifically. They said that this scene was witnessed by 7 other Florida men, in fact. And right next to it, there's this drawing of these guys throwing firecrackers into a guy's bathtub. And I love this one, because this guy must have, like, the most comically long butt. It looks like he's a little bit out of proportion here. Just a little bit. Now, given how fast they probably had to throw off these drawings, I'm loath to criticize them for anything other than just their general problematic content. But there's like these George Cruikshank vibes, William Hogarth for sure, a little bit of Fizz in there too. Hey, Grandma Bell. Also, here's just a picture of Tuesday. About a guy who killed a few people, cut off one of their heads, then went running down the street naked with one of the heads. This was actually not Florida. Did I say the caption as to where this is? Chester, Illinois. I'm not even sure where that is. I kind of forget that I live in Illinois sometimes. I just feel like this guy running down the street. It's a tragedy. You shouldn't be making light of this, but still, yakety sax. Now and then, I do find some interesting stuff here. Like, one story we have covered many times is the story of Teresa Sterlata, also known as Madeline Stiles or Sterla Stiles, whose boyfriend used to drop her off in cemeteries and just leave her there. And this came up in the trial after she eventually murdered him. There's actually an illustration of her killing Charlie that was published in 1884. This is probably not what it really looked like. There was not actually a person on the scene or anything. This is just their artist's depiction of what it might have looked like. But still, it's contemporary. And they do have a portrait of Teresa that I hadn't seen before. Now, one of the best things about the old Illustrated Police News is they also have a whole lot of mugshot drawings. In most cases, these portraits do not survive themselves, and a lot of them, there's not even a drawing in the newspapers of 1884, so we can sometimes get them from here, like this one of James Tracy, the guy who was hanged in 1884 and then brought back to life on the slab. Or at least enough that they were able to, change the expression on his face by moving the wires around. So I had only ever seen one drawing of him in the National Police Gazette, which was a very similar magazine, but not quite as well scanned. And the fact that these are so similar does make it pretty clear to me that they're both working off photographs. So this does get us some good leads on new stuff, and so occasionally something that's actually useful for virtual tours besides just leads and fun pictures. And this one, I had never heard that after killing Jesse James, Bob and Charlie Ford came to Chicago and just partied till they were broke. Well, they made a lot of money. It would take a long time partying until you're broke when you get a $10,000 reward for killing Jesse James. History does record that Bob and Charlie Ford have laid Jesse James in his grave. It does not record that they then hung out on State Street for a couple of months. According to the Chicago Times, I was able to find out a couple of different articles that they used for their story on this. One of the fun things with these illustrated police news stories is reading their Chicago stories and then getting all the vintage newspapers from closer to the source to try to piece together how they made their story up. In this case, Bob and Charlie Ford partying hard on State Street somewhere between Harrison and 16th, the old levee district of the 1880s. That's just a great party anyway. I'm just trying to read the sign in the back. Dancing or danging? Everything? Oh, dancing every night. Okay. Here I come to save the day. Well, killing Jesse James, I could see that as such. And one other that I am still working on. Apparently, there was a funeral on North Clark Street, and a woman came and thought that her husband was mourning a little too much over the dead woman. And grabbed a wreath, wrecked it, threw it all over the place, had to be escorted away, while the husband accompanied the remains to the cemetery. Unfortunately, they don't give a lot of data about this. They say it was a funeral on North Clark Street, but they neglect to mention the people's names. So I'm still trying to figure out what this story might have been. Excellent Shan, she's a Graceland or Rose Hill, whoever she is. So I think it was probably... They tended to rely heavily on the Chicago Times for their stories. The Times was similarly inclined toward sensational stories in the 1880s. But that one's not digitized, so it's a little bit harder. Unless it got picked up in some other newspaper, it's a little bit tricky. But a lot of the stuff that they took from the Chicago Times was also serialized in other papers or syndicated in other papers. So usually I can seem to find it. So, alright, so those are some of today's best finds from the Illustrated Police News, a morning mini tour from home. Now, once again, tomorrow night we'll be doing a virtual boat tour. It's way too cold to do a boat tour, but you can always do these things virtually. And next Thursday, 8 days from today, using some of the illustrations that I found this week, we'll be doing Strange Theater Tales. Strange tales from theatrical history in Chicago. Stories about John Wilkes Booth, Edwin Booth, Charlotte Cushman, Bathhouse John Coughlin. This will all be a benefit for the Snellville Performing Arts Center down in Snellville, Georgia, where my nephew performs. I know it's very difficult for kids in that area to find a safe space. It certainly was for me. It's a very different town now, but still, times being what they are. I know the Snellville Performing Arts Center always needs donations, so we are going to do what we can. I don't usually put my hat out when I'm doing the tour. We just have a little thing down below. This one is all a benefit. None of it goes to me other than Patreon stuff. So get ready for that one. It's going to be really cool. There's going to be some special performances from Snellville Performing Arts themselves. It's going to be very nice. So thanks a lot for joining me, everybody. I will see you back tomorrow morning with another morning mini tour. And tomorrow night, virtual boat tour. And a week from tomorrow night, we're going to be doing a benefit, a brand new tour for the benefit of Snellville Performing Arts. There will be a show tonight on trampoline. Not so much the trampoline. But thanks a lot for joining me, everybody. I'm Adam from Mysterious Chicago saying stay safe, stay warm, stay vigilant, and stay spooky, everybody.